September 2016, I crossed a threshold that a lot of writers dream of crossing, and that was to get a literary agent. It was something I'd been trying to do since I knew what a literary agent was, which was probably about 5 years. But I'd been writing for a lot longer than that. It was probably one of the best days of my life, sitting in that coffee shop in St Pancras Station in London, speaking to this woman who would go on to be my agent. I remember speaking to her, and we spoke about the book that I'd written and how much she loved it, and all of the characters and what happens in the plot, and we even spoke about who we would cast in the film if it ever got made into a film. And it was that kind of conversation, that kind of dream-like, crazy conversation that you never thought would actually happen. And spoiler alert, I lost that agent. We're still on good speaking terms and everything like that, but we've gone our separate ways. But since winning that agent and losing that agent, I've had a lot of time to think about how that all happened. So this is how I got a literary agent. Now, the first step is one that you'll hear a lot with any kind of publishing advice, and that is to write a great book. Easy. It's not that easy, obviously. But if you don't have a great book, there's no chance that you'll get an agent. You can always self-publish, but if you want to go down the traditional route, you need a great sparkling manuscript, because there is so much competition out there. There's lots of great books that aren't being published, because there's even better books that are being published. And so that was my first step. I'd written what I hoped was a great novel, and I sent it off to agents with a synopsis and 3 opening chapters, all the usual stuff that you do. And I should say that she wasn't a small agent either. She was a very big London agent, really good one, and she still is. And I think she's a great woman, and I was very proud that I'd secured her. I remember after we spoke, she gave me a big hug, and she bought me a big stack of books, some of which she represented and some of which she just enjoyed. And I went home and I took them home with me on the train ride home, and it was really exciting. But how did I get that agent in the first place? Well, one thing that not a lot of people seem to talk about is that I didn't just write a book and send it off to agents. That's the main advice that people give. Write a book, send it off to between 12 and 20 agents, and hopefully one of them will come back and say that they want to see more, and then hopefully one of those ones that say they want to see more will say yes, they want to represent you for that book. I did that, but I believe that the main thing that I did that got me that agent was to put myself out there a bit more. So there is a festival in York in England called the Festival of Writing, and at the time it was run by a company called the Writers' Workshop. They're now called Jericho Writers, and every year in September they put on this big kind of 3-day event. It's a big festival full of workshops and all kinds of sort of writing events and competitions, and a big dinner and all this sort of stuff, and it's great fun. And every year they do 2 competitions. They do one called Best Opening Chapter, and they do one called Best 500 Words. And I entered both of those, and I got shortlisted for both of them, which I was really shocked about. Even that small moment was kind of one of those moments where you feel like you're dreaming, and that was great. the best 500 words competition is also called Friday Night Live, and the reason it's called that is because on the Friday of this 3-day event, if you're one of the finalists, and there's only about 6 or 7 finalists, and I was one of them, you have to stand up and read those 500 words in front of the whole festival, which was normally, it's hard to estimate, but probably a couple of hundred people, maybe slightly less than that. So I did that, and I was really nervous, and I think I completely rushed through my 500 words. I think I gesticulated too much, and I sort of waved my hands in ways that didn't really make sense with what I was reading. And I didn't win. But on that panel of judges was my agent to be. And after the competition, we didn't speak at all. I don't think she even really knew my name or anything like that. But when I went home after that 3-day event, I sent my book off to her, and I said, "Hiya, I don't know if you remember me, but I was one of the finalists for Friday Night Live. Mine was the one about XYZ. I've attached the work to this email, hope you enjoy it." And she came back really promptly and said, "Oh yeah, of course, yeah, I do remember, and yeah, I can't wait to start reading." And I think it only took probably a day for her to come back and say, "Wow, okay, yes, can you come to London so we can have a chat?" And none of that would have happened if I didn't kind of enter that competition, which I almost didn't. I sort of, I thought, well, am I good enough? Even if I am good enough, like, is a competition really going to help? Shouldn't I just do it the normal way? But what it did, it gave me a bit of confidence, and it also, for those couple of minutes, just showcased me in front of, a room full of other writers and agents. And she remembered me, and that was great. The next thing I did was get on that train to London, and just tried to conduct myself really politely and normally, and not, let her know how crazy I am, and just enjoy it and have a really nice time, and speak to her and be really open about the book and everything like that. So my advice for anybody trying to get an agent, I can't guarantee that this would work for everybody, but maybe if I hadn't entered that competition, it could have been a different competition. Maybe I will enter more competitions. Maybe I will post my work in more places like forums and kind of anywhere to get my work out there. Start creating a bit of a, I want to say buzz, but that's probably a bit grandiose. Just try and, it's easy to believe that getting published and getting an agent is all a matter of luck, and a lot of it is, but you kind of make your own luck to some extent. You are spinning a roulette wheel every time, but the more you put your work out there, the more spins you're going to have. So even though the odds are stacked against you, just spin that wheel as many times as you can. Get your work out there as many times as you can. Always be polite, always be normal, always go through the proper channels, but speak to people and meet people and go to festivals and write, go to workshops, speak to editors and agents. That's what's going to help you stand out in front of all the other people who are just sending out their manuscript. I know other people who went to that festival, and they've been published traditionally, and they're doing great. So I definitely recommend it. That's called the Festival of Writing by Jericho Writers. That's not a sponsor. I'm not getting paid. I just really owe them a lot, and it was always I haven't been for a year or two, but it's always great fun when you do go. I'm sure if you're listening in another country, there'll be things similar to that in your country. So that's how I got an agent. I hope you found it useful. Cheers. Hi guys, I hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, think about leaving a like. If you didn't like it, leave a dislike. I make lots of videos like this, so think about subscribing as well and hitting that bell icon. And if you've got any writing questions at all, just pop them in the comments and I'll see if I can answer them. Cheers. Do you want to say anything?